This case is not called the state of Minnesota versus the police. It is not. Policing is a noble profession.
I've always been like had a fear for the police, like living here, like, you know, like always like been scared of them. I always like, I don't want no interactions with them. Like I don't want to talk to them because you know how they treat people. And, like even like I said, I'm from here. I'm not racist. Like I got white friends, Asian friends, Mexican friends, everybody. I'm real diverse. And the first time I was called a nigger was by the Minneapolis police in North Minneapolis, and like so you know it's just sick, you know.
It's a public service. It's a public trust. They're there to help us. There's a code of conduct. There's a use of force policy.
Shit's really still fucked up. I don't know what needs to happen, but it really has to stop, man. It does. And I got a son, you know, so I got a 4-year-old son. And I'm just bringing him up in this world, and he's scared of the police too, and I don't understand how he even developed a fear for them, you know, just so early. But like if he sees them, he like runs, like he goes and hides. Like I don't know how he got that fear, but it's just like crazy, and I just feel like that sucks. No kid should grow up fearing the police who's supposed to protect us and serve, like they say. There ain't been too much protecting and serving here in Minneapolis, so I don't know about anywhere else, but it'd be nice to see like the cops like, you know, show like some fucking empathy about what happened.
What does it stand for? It represents the very motto of the Minneapolis Police Department: to protect with courage, to serve with compassion.
I was about 12. I was 12, and it was around here, actually. And I was walking from the park, and they had rolled up on me, and it was like, lift up your shirt, you know. Like
so they didn't treat you like you was a kid.
Yeah, like no, they didn't, and that was crazy. And like I remember the first time, I even got arrested. It was for some shit like I didn't do, and they had actually took me to the county, bro. And I was like, I'm a teenager, you know, like, but they literally brought me in the county, the government building, bro. Like I was scared as fuck, you know. I'm supposed to go to the juvenile, but when I got in there, they figured it out, and you know, they took me to the juvenile, and you know, they got that scared away. But yeah, the first encounter was like young, bro, and like. I've always heard stories about, you know, what they do to people, but I never really experienced that until like I got 12, bro, and like being outside more, you know, catching the bus and being in the city more.
They take an oath that I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately, and as you will learn, as applies to this case, never employing unnecessary force or violence.
The incident where I was saying where the cop called me a nigger, and it was an incident where I was over north. I was younger at this time. I was like 15. And it was some girls fighting or whatever over north. And I was with my cousin's boyfriend. And he was like 17. You know, I'm 15. And we were in the car with 2 other girls. And the people were fighting next door. And we were just sitting in the car. And they pulled up. And he walks right up to my window. This tall white cop, like leather gloves on. And he leans on the window. He's like, yeah, I had to beat a nigger's ass that looked like you the other day. Like, you sure that wasn't you? And like, I just remember I was like, oh shit. Like, my heart just stopped. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. I'm not even from this side of town. And he looked in the car, and it was a Rip Cub Foods plastic bag. And he reached through the car and choked me. He was like, where's the dope at? Saying I had some dope. I was 15 at the time. I have asthma really bad. I couldn't really talk, so he was choking me. I'm like, I don't know, like, that's not mine. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, I can't breathe. I have asthma. But he couldn't hear me because he was choking me so bad. So he pulled me through the window, like, snatched me through the window, like, throws me on the ground, and, like, he's steady choking me, like, where's the dope at? Like, spit it out, like, saying I had it in my mouth. Like, I didn't know at the time what he was talking about. I guess some drug dealers were hiding in their mouth. I don't really know. But he thought I had it in my mouth, and he actually like stuck a pin like stuck like a pin, like one of his pins in like my neck, and it like made me like puke, bro. Like it was like bad, and like then his partner was like, dude, get off of him. Like he really is a kid because he had my ID. Another cop seen him, he was going to run. He was like, he's really 15. And then, you know, he changed his demeanor and like.
The sanctity of life and the protection of the public, those are the cornerstones of the Minneapolis Police Department's use of force policy. The protection of the public, all of the human beings that make up the public.
It was just like so traumatizing. Like I was just like scared to move. Like I didn't want to see the police after that. Like I never, still to this day, because I know that cop still works over north, over there in the fourth precinct, I believe. He still works over there in the lower end area. So even if I go over north, I just pray like I hope I don't see this cop. I hope I don't see him. But for the most part, I don't really get pulled over or anything. So I haven't had anything recent with them. So I haven't, you know, because I don't get in trouble anymore and I don't put myself out there. But yeah, it's definitely those crazy events. And like my friends from this neighborhood, they've been beaten by them, like right on this block. Like been beaten by them, and they always mistreated black people in this part of Minneapolis wrong, man. Like always. Like I remember like even like just being out here and seeing them like going like a house over here on Elliott, and like they like went in there and they pushed this bigger lady over and they like broke her ankle, and like just like no regards like for human life. Like I don't know why it's even like that here, because like my family, from my understanding, came here from Texas because it was good and I had good jobs up here, and this was a good city back in those times. So I don't know how we got to this point, but we need to reevaluate this shit, man. And it's like no one really gives a shit. Like, still, it's like, I don't know if the world even knows. Like, we literally been holding this shit down since George Floyd died, like every day, like every single day. Like, I've been out here since that man died every single day.
In your custody is in your care. In your custody is in your care. Meaning that if you as an officer have an individual, a subject that's in your custody, it is your duty to care for that person.
It's just crazy. Like the second encounter, I was like 14, and my sister was at Washburn, and they tased her. Like she was like, her and a girl were fighting, and like they just walked up and tased her like point blank range. And I just remember my sister shaking and hitting the ground real hard, bro. And I was like, that like made me even more scared of them, you know. And then like the killings that they do here, you know, like Jamar Clark, I actually knew him, bro. Like I knew him. I met him when I was like 14. You know, when that happened, like it just makes you feel like if you have an encounter with him, like you don't know if you're gonna make it, you know. So that's why I'm like, I don't wanna, even like if I got license, bro, like in a car, like I still don't wanna get pulled over by him, you know. Like I don't wanna have no interaction with him, you know. Say I moved or anything, you know. I'm black and I got dreads, so you know. They really discriminate against me, and like I don't even go too far outside of Minneapolis because of this, because I know like in Bloomington, like they are assholes, but you know there's really too much going on out there. So like if I'm driving out there, you know, I went to jail out there during COVID, during the lockdown. I had literally went to go pick my grandma up from the hospital. She was sick, and you know I had to pick her up, you know, like shit. But you know, it was the curfew, and I'm thinking this shit's an emergency, you know? These motherfuckers, bro, they pulled us over, bro, took me to jail, bro. Said I was the only person out, and I looked at suspicious, and they took me to jail and let my grandma drive off, and it was just like, I didn't understand, and I'm just like, this is crazy, you know? And I asked them, like, dude, so who else, did you take anybody else to jail, you know? Like, probably not, you know? So, like, I try to avoid them at all costs, bro. Like, they don't really, I don't know, even since George Floyd, like, they're not even sorry. Like, I ain't seen no cop come, apologize, nobody say nothing about nothing, like, so, you know.
Perception is how you interpret what it is you see and what it is you experience.
So change comes, some gotta give, man. But I want black people to be safe. Another thing, I want, like, I feel like if you're black and you're in America, like I don't care what city you're in, like if you see a black person getting pulled over by the cops, like I feel like it's our duty as black people, other black people, to help our brother and sister out, like record this situation. Just in case something goes wrong, they cover their cameras, anything. I feel like that's what I'm gonna do. If I see anybody black, or anybody for that matter, getting pulled over by the police, I'm gonna pull over and record and make sure they're safe. Like, you know.
This is our experiences. These are the things that make us who we are.
When I first had PTSD, it was from this police brutality, but then I ended up getting shot. And even how they treated me when I got shot, bro, it was like, it's all like added fuel to the fire. Like they came in there, like snatched my leg up, bro. It was like, yeah, you know who shot you? And just was like, you know, real disrespectful, bro. Real disrespectful. And I don't know, man. Even like it was an officer around here named Sidell. Like if you're from over south in this neighborhood, you know about Officer Sidell. He used to drive the same car Chauvin was driving, 320. Like anybody knows that's from this neighborhood. Like 320 is any officers in that car. It doesn't even matter if it's any officer on the force. If they get in the squad 320, they turn into racist assholes. And I've seen a million different cops in this squad car. Every time they're in that squad car, it's like, that's the squad car to go do the fucking bullshit.
The kind of ego-based pride. He was going to do what he wanted, how he wanted, for as long as he wanted. And there was nothing they could do about it because he had the authority. He had the power of the badge and the other officers.
Like, even in a way, like, I keep bringing up George Floyd because it was just, like, so many stereotypes in that case. Like, just, like, even how they said, like, he was on fentanyl. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Yeah. You know? Like, what does that have to do with anything about this fake $20 and you guys killing him? Whether he was hired or not, you know? No one deserves to die like that, bro. So that's why I'm like, it's the way they look at us, like, oh, yeah, he must have been high, you know? Like, what do you mean, you know? Like, what do you mean? And, like, even that, like, if you guys look at the video, I think it was a dude that was recording Chauvin and them, and he was, like, telling them he was a dude that was like, yeah, I know the training, I trained with you guys, I know what you're doing is wrong. Even, like, when whatever kid that had the interaction with George Floyd came out and was like, oh, yeah, he's high on crack. Like, that's just so stereotypic. Like, how? Like, what do you mean? Because he's black, you know? You think he's, like, and that's how you guys look at us?
The defendant does not have to prove his innocence. But one of the things that one of the things that all of these police officers effectively agreed to is that when you look at the question of what would a reasonable police officer do, knowing the facts of the case, there are things that a police officer is entitled to take into consideration above and beyond